the bank.
Hey Brett, how's it going this week?
Good, Ange. How are you?
Good. Well, just a quick reminder, we are still doing our $100 giveaway. So for our 100th episode, we will be giving away $100 to one lucky listener. And Brett just reminded me of a really good point. This is open to our international listeners. There's a lot of you. We really appreciate you. I know we keep promising that we will do more international episodes in the future, and I promise you we will. Someday I will put in, I have to do more education before I feel comfortable talking about some of it, but I will do that because we really appreciate all of you out there. So you are totally welcome to enter our contest. I will be able to PayPal you the money, so just keep in mind that you would have to have a PayPal account. It is free to have a PayPal account, and I will pay the transaction fee, if there is one, to send money to your country, so...
Cool. So opening the floodgates.
Yep. So again, just to enter the contest, you can leave a review on iTunes, Spotify, wherever, or you can just tell a friend about the podcast, screenshot it, and shoot me an email, Angie@moneyinthebankpodcast.com. So trying to make it as easy as possible to get $100.
$100, yeah. Easiest probably contest that you've seen lately. So
yeah. So it's not one of those like stupid Instagram chains where it's like, win $1,000, but follow like 100 people and leave a heart under each one. Like, we're not doing that.
Right, or you have like PewDiePie, who is like, has like, I don't know, at this point, like 100 million followers on YouTube or whatever. I don't know what he has. Where like everybody's going for the contest, right? So. Yeah.
Or like Jeffree Star. I mean, he gives away like Gucci purses every week. He makes it pretty easy too, but... Sorry, I'm not.
Like 10 million.
I'm not Jeffrey, so. Okay, Brett, are you ready for your trivia question? Because I forgot it last week and I felt really bad about it.
Yeah, it was. I think we should probably stick with that as the norm.
No. So how much do you think the average American spends on entertainment each year?
Was that part of the infograph from last week?
I don't think so.
Each year. All right.
Each year.
So,
and keep in mind, actually, I want to give you some caveats because you always say, like, it's not fair. You don't give me enough detail. This does not include going out to eat at all.
Okay.
And this doesn't include, like, an other bucket. So, like, there's still an other expenditures item for, like, when you do impulse spending. This is purely entertainment.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's a lot more detail. There's an other category that's very mysterious.
No, I mean, like, I just meant that to say, like, entertainment is specifically on entertainment, like going to events or going to movies or, like,
Netflix, sharing a Netflix password with 12 people, yeah.
No, I don't think it includes Netflix, because that's, like...
Then this is just chaos then. All right.
Like, it's like going to Disney World or like going
people,
to a concert.
This is just made up now. This is why I have such a hard time with these trivia questions.
I don't know what it does or doesn't include.
This is an entertainment category that doesn't include Netflix. Okay.
Maybe it includes Netflix. I don't know. Whatever. Anyways.
All right. Well, I'm going to say, since this is so ambiguous, that it's around $100 a month, so $1,200 a year.
$2,500 a year.
Not even close, baby. All right.
So
must be including Netflix though.
Must include
and
Netflix,
Hulu and everything else.
But still, like Netflix and Hulu, like that's like I don't know, that's like $20 a month, right? Like I don't know. We don't pay for any of this stuff, so I don't know anymore. I'm so out of touch because you know what happened? We used to pay like. Do you remember when Netflix was $7.99 a month? Because I do.
Right, that was the way it should be. I think it was cheaper than that when it came out. It was like $7.99 if you got like the DVD service.
But then they kept like raising it $1, and once it got to like $10.99, Brett and I walked. We were like, this is ridiculous. So
yeah, the price is almost doubled from what it originally was, and it's the same service. So.
YouTube TV is insane.
Oh, yeah. That was crazy cheap before when they released it. It was going to be like $35 a month for like all cable, like unlimited DVR on like multiple devices for like anywhere in the country that you have a device that you log into. And now it's like over 60 or something like that. Like it's like crazy now.
I don't get it.
Like, sorry, YouTube TV. I was like a big proponent of that, even though I don't watch actual TV shows. But if you were like into sports networks and stuff, like it was like a slam dunk service for you to get. But now it's like pretty expensive.
Yeah.
I was like, you're just rivaling the cable networks now, so you're not adding really any value.
It's insane to me. I just don't get it. People spend so much money to just watch content streaming on their TV when there's so much free content that you can stream on your TV.
Right. So
I don't know. I don't get it. It's one of those things I don't get. I know a lot of people do. It is what it is. But, okay, so going down this road, $2,500 a month. That's working out to, or a year. That's working out to over $200 a month that people are spending to be entertained. Which to me,
on what we don't know, but
even if you're paying for like Netflix and Hulu and whatever, that's still leaving this gap of money. And I think it's because people pay to go to like musicals and Broadway shows and like street festivals, concerts. I mean, all this stuff, it all adds up, right? There's concert tickets can be insane, especially for some of these young YouTube stars that are really price gouging people.
Yeah, $500 a ticket. Yeah.
So, I mean, it can add up very quickly. What's insane to us is like, we don't really have that line item. Like, I think that's why we don't really know how to talk about this, because like, we don't do it. So, like, if there's a street festival, we live in an area where there's a lot of festivals that they hold right in front of us, right? We will go to it if it's free. If it's not, we just walk away.
Which is funny, though, because, like, it's always the same. Like,
always.
Whether it's free or not, it's the same, like, vendors. It's, like, food trucks. They have, like, a stage set up with some kind of, like, DJ or maybe some live music at some parts of the day. But it's like the exact same. It's in the same spot. It's got like the same structure. It's like the same vendors. And just like sometimes it's free and sometimes it's like $20 to $40 a ticket.
Which really, I don't understand. Because like, okay, so if we paid $40 each to get in, we're spending $80. Sometimes that includes like a drink ticket and a food ticket. Sometimes, a lot of times, it doesn't. And I'm like, and even if it does, like there was this like craft beer festival recently and it was like $40 to $60 to get in and you got some beer, like 3 beer sampling tickets. But I'm like, 3 beer samples? Like that one, I don't drink beer. Like, hi, gluten is my kryptonite.
Right, bad example for you.
So bad example. A lot of people do like beer, but even if I did like beer, like 3 samples, I don't know. For me, it's like I could just go to like a great beer store and get like craft beer, mix and match 6-pack, spending way less money and have a way better time.
Right. And you can make a whole evening of it with all your friends, right? And just like get a bunch and then you all just share it.
Right. And you all have your samples. Like,
right. So way more economical, right? If those, right, I agree. If it was closer, if you could go to like, if they had like 100 vendors there, right? If it was like a huge thing and you could try like a large variety of it, not to like get wasted or anything, right? So like they got to be within bounds of that, but like 3 sips is like not doing it, right?
Right. Well, and I'm sure you could try more, but I think after that you had to like pay for each one. Sure, and it's like, but to me, it's like, I don't know, when I'm sampling, like I'll pay for it. Sure. I don't want to like rip any business off of making money, but like, I just think that like $10 for like a 2 to 4 ounce pour of beer is just very steep. When even if I go to a brewery, I can get like a full-on pint for less than that.
Mm-hmm. And that's the trend here, kind of in Orlando. That's what we're talking about. And I know in Chicago, they have the big Taste of Chicago festival that people have been talking about for a long time.
And not just that one. Like Chicago has a lot of festivals.
Yeah,
we have our
they have festivals.
Cheeseburger Festival, which is my personal favorite. Bacon Festival, Cupcake Festival.
Yeah, if you can think of any topic, there's usually some kind of festival, especially around.
There's
food.
a mac and cheese festival.
Probably lasagna somewhere, but anyway, like the model has changed a lot in the last, I don't know, even almost let's say decade, right? Because when I first moved to Chicago almost 10 years ago, like the Taste of Chicago Festival and a lot of the other street festivals, it was like a donation only, or like the festival itself was like free, but you have to pay for all the vendors. But now it's like a combination of like you have to pay to get in and you have to pay for all the vendors, right? And it's just like, when did this become like this weird scenario? So they're like, maybe the vendors aren't paying the city for like renting the space like they used to, or like blocking it off. Maybe the population got too huge at these festivals and they're trying to like pare it down a little bit, right? So they're just like, and then they get more money at the end of the day. So they have less population, it's less crowded, and they make more money. The Disney model, right? So I mean, maybe that's the way it is, but like that just, it sucks for everybody.
What kills me though is, so we used to live in Lansing, Michigan, and we had a lot of festivals there. We had like Blues Fest, Jazz Fest, Art Fair, and then farmers markets. And so to me, sometimes these festivals here that people pay money to go to, I'm like, this is like a farmers market. Like people are just showing up with like craft goods that they made, and you're paying me to get in, which there's nothing. I like to support people who do that, right? I like to support the booths, but I don't want to have to pay to like see your product.
To go walk around.
Because essentially to me, this is like a farmer's market.
Right.
So
that is what we're used to. Right.
But yeah. And so then like
there's a guy selling soap made out of oatmeal, and there's a guy that draws pictures, and there's the guy with bracelets, and the guy making dog bandanas, right? And it's the same kind of stuff everywhere you go in the country where these like markets or festivals are all set up. And right.
Sometimes they're free, and sometimes they're $40.
Yeah, in some cities they're free, and yeah, it just depends on like what the city feels like doing.
Well, and so in Michigan, in Grand Rapids and in East Lansing, there's always like an art fair. And the one in Grand Rapids is bigger, but they're like, maybe you pay a little bit to walk around those, but it's like for an experience. Like you're basically paying to get into an art museum or an art exhibit, right? Because it's like all these vendors who are like real awesome artists, like bringing their work. So you're like, okay, you pay $10, but you get to like walk around and see really cool stuff. Here, or like in Chicago, sometimes you go to these street festivals and you pay to get in, and it's like to get like the like caricature booth, and like it feels like a carnival almost,
right.
Like that level of quality. Not like I'm paying to like see true artists like bring their best work.
Right.
So I don't get this trend. It really bothers me because I'm like, this it at least should be free to walk around, or if like the city has to make money, it should be like $5 to get in, not like 40. Like I don't get it. I don't value it.
Because it's a huge amount of money going in, right? If you're talking about like a big festival that has like 10,000, 20,000 people show up for like an afternoon, right? And some of these festivals here are like the whole weekend. Like it starts like Friday at like 4:00 and it goes until like Sunday at 8 p.m. or something like that.
Well, and every single Friday and Saturday night, they like close down streets here downtown and like put up block parties, which is like a DJ spinning music with vendors that sell drinks, and people pay to get into the block party. And I'm like, or you could just go into one of the clubs like on the same street, and you. But sometimes they have covers too. I don't know. That's a whole thing where I just like hate paying covers. I hate paying to get in somewhere. I don't value it. I will just go to like the free pub down the street and hang out there.
Right.
So anyways, I wanted to talk about all of this because I just feel like our whole concept of entertainment has changed so much, where when you bring this stuff up and you tell people like, cut back on your entertainment spending, people are like, especially on Twitter, there's just like this whole, people get cranky and they're like, what do you expect me to do? Sit at home and stare at a wall all night? And I'm like, why have we fallen so far as society that we don't know how to self-entertain anymore? Like I remember when I was a kid, if it was like a rainy day and I had to be inside all day, and if I would like complain to my parents that I was bored, they would be like, go figure out, use your imagination, right? That's what they always told me, is like, use your imagination. And so like now as an adult, I'm thankful for that, because like if I'm home for a day, I'm like, use my imagination. What do I want to do? And like with technology, we have literally everything at our fingertips, where I can be like, today I'm going to learn a new language, or I'm going to, pick up my guitar and learn how to play guitar, right? Like there's so much out there that you can do at home whenever you want to that is still entertaining and exciting,
right?
That doesn't involve spending money.
Right. So yeah, a lot of times it's free. Sometimes it's pretty inexpensive. I mean, if you're going to learn how to pick up a guitar, then you probably need a guitar to like strum along with.
Right.
A little bit harder to play like strumming on your like phone.
But do you know how many people have instruments that don't play them, myself included?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's always been the case ever since like instruments, back when the bard days, when you're carrying around your fife.
I don't know if people were carrying that around and not learning how to play it.
But yeah, I mean, like I recently started just playing around with like game development. Like, so I found like these like awesome, like really long YouTube tutorials about like start to finish about how to put something together that was like pretty simple. And like a lot of those tools are all free, or most of the tools are all free for the big games, the things that are pumping out like, really high-end AAA games, all the way to like games that are being put out on the Switch, right? Like it's all the same program. So like learning that program is like pretty advantageous. It's not like you're using this like, junk freeware tool that like doesn't translate to anything. And so that's just like a really cool situation, because they just want to have more games be developed and be put out there. So it's easy to pick this stuff up. Yeah, you can learn languages, you can learn other tools or technologies, or software development, or anything digital is usually all free. But like all that stuff, you can find pretty good tutorials for free that you don't have to go behind like a paywall or like course, paywalls. There's a lot of those that are out there for like, people that like specialize in some particular area, and then you got to pay like, $20 and you get like a course package for them or something like that. Some of those are pretty good. Some of those are like pretty worthwhile to do, but just to get your foot in the water or dip your toe in the water and get started with something that maybe you have an interest in and maybe you don't, like just looking up YouTube videos to just like check it out and see what people say about it, or like what are some of the pitfalls when they got started, kind of a deal, and just like play around with it and just like see if you like it for like an afternoon or something.
Yeah, and the really awesome added benefit about you getting into game design is you're being entertained while you're creating this game, and then since you're creating a tower defense game, which is my very particular favorite niche of game, then I will be entertained by playing your game. So this is like a great 2-for-1 here.
Right.
Free game from my husband to me that I can then play for free. You're going to try to charge me, aren't you?
That's right. It'll be one cheeseburger.
But yeah, like I think, there's a lot of really cool things that you can learn and do on your own that aren't spending money. And I think like another thing for me is like, how expensive it can be just to go work out somewhere when like you can, and I know a lot of times it's that motivation piece, but like you can work out on your own. And furthermore, there are like personal trainers who now via social media, whether it's Instagram or YouTube, will share their workouts. So like you don't even like, you can even get workouts that you don't have to come up with yourself.
Right. For free.
And then, I mean, still, sure, you might want a gym, but, like, you can pay to go to a regular gym far cheaper than, like, a personal trainer type situation or even group training. Mm-hmm. So, there's, like, even stuff like that you can do on your own if you want to and save some money. And another thing I was going to mention is, like, kind of event-style entertainment. So, like, when you go to, like, something like Painting with a Twist or Wind Down or whatever they call them, the premise is you like show up with your friends, you follow along to an instructor doing a painting while you like sip your wine and eat your snacks that you brought, right? You can host that at home, and I've done that in the past, and that's actually way more fun because like with the class, it's like this is going to be an hour and a half. When I've hosted them, they're typically like 3 to 4 hours because we go slower. Because we're, I don't like to speed paint and I want more time to eat my snacks. So like we can paint and then we can take more snack breaks and it's just like more relaxed and fun. I've hosted like 2 of these now. And my friends who came to them were like, yeah, this is actually like a way more fun environment than like the cookie cutter model. And I think that's true of most things. Like, I don't know when we got to this idea. I guess this is like the next area we can talk about, but this whole idea of like when you're hanging out with your friends. So we kind of talked about like alone time. When you're at home alone, you can like do all this cool stuff, right? But like you still obviously want to have social interaction. Humans are social beings. And I don't know when we got to this idea that anytime you hang out with your friends or hang out with people, you have to like be doing something versus just like spending time together. Like I was telling Brett before we recorded this, one of my favorite things would like, I am just as happy, like, going out with a friend. Actually, I'm probably happier to have that person come over and I will, like, make us a pot of coffee and we can just sit around and, like, chit-chat or sit around and play games. That, to me, is, like, more rewarding than, like, walking around some noisy, busy festival where I'm not even really spending time with that person because we're, like, distracted the whole time. Right.
Because, yeah, when I was a kid, I mean, it was fine to just like have somebody over for like tea or something, right? That's what my parents did. Or they would like, my mom would like go walk around the neighborhood with like some of my other friends' moms, right? Like they would do that like every day for like an hour or two. Like just like go like hang out and socialize and just like exercise at the same time, right?
Right.
And now you rarely see that happening anymore for the most part. Either people are just like, nope, I know what's going on in your life, basically, because I follow you on social media. So, right, you just feel like you don't need that layer of interaction anymore. Or, you just, like, feel like you need to, like, present yourself or do something expensive in a social activity. Like, you need to go out to dinner or you need to have something to do, right, that you like are looking for a festival or an event or activity or whatever to just like go hang out, have an excuse to go like be with other people.
Well, and I almost wonder if part of that is like the pressure of social media. Like people are like, well, I have to go and do something because I can't just like post a picture of me sitting on my couch on Instagram.
Maybe we should start doing that. Hey, here's me just chilling on my couch. It's a regular Friday night.
But like I do kind of feel like, you know, a lot of I was reading an article about this recently where like a lot of things that people do now are crafted for social media. And it's kind of created this mismatch in society where you see people, the only things people post on social media are the highlight reel. It's when they're on vacation, it's when they're going out to fun events. So then it makes you feel like you're missing out because you're not doing this stuff. So then you go and do this stuff and it creates this like spiral of, you know, and it really does. Like social media has had it's had positive and negative impacts on society. But, you know, in a way too, kind of like you mentioned, if you're friends with somebody on social media and you're like, oh, well, I don't really need to have them over for coffee because I know what's going on in their life, people only post the highlights to social media. So then if they're never like able to just catch up on like the day-to-day or the, you know, normal things that have happened in their life, or, you know, maybe I'm somebody who like, I hardly ever post about the delicious things that I've cooked recently, but I love sharing recipes with friends and like getting ideas of like, what have you made that maybe I should be making? Mm-hmm. And so like, those are the fun things that it's like fun to sit around and chit chat and, you know, whatever, that I'm not going to like do that on social media necessarily. So it's a different type of interaction.
Right. And I deleted my Facebook like 5-6 years ago now, something like that. Well, I haven't
that long.
Haven't used it in 5-6 years.
You deleted it like a year ago.
Yeah. But right, I was dead in the water. And like Instagram, I look at a lot, but I like hardly ever post anything, right? So like I'm this mysterious person, right? Like nobody knows what's going on in my life.
You're so mysterious,
right?
babe.
But my other friends that have like gotten rid of all their social media accounts, like they don't have anything, and like they're more fascinating to like be able to go hang out with and go sit down and talk to you. And we just like go to their house and like go have dinner or something when we're in town with them, and then just like we can talk about stuff for like 8 hours, like just hang out there until we're like too tired to like stay up any longer, and then be like, we didn't even cover like, you know, a tenth of the things that we could have talked about, right, between both of our like lifestyles. So it's just like, that's just such a rewarding relationship, and I feel like we don't have that as much anymore as when I was like a kid. Right.
And I feel like we actually have a decent amount of friends that we do have that with, and we love every time we get to spend time with those people. Like it like recharges us, and those are the social interactions that we really enjoy having. I guess we're homebodies. So we like to have people over too. So even when we're like in town with people who we see and talk to on a more regular basis, we're gonna invite them over like on a Friday or Saturday. You know, instead of being like, hey, do you want to go out to dinner somewhere? Especially because to me, Americans don't know how to go out to dinner together. So like in Europe, if you go out to dinner, it's a slower paced dinner. You're going out for the evening. Like you're going out to spend time with people for the evening. You sit around and you talk and you hang out and you're there for a while, right? Here, it's like going out to dinner means we're going to meet at like 6 o'clock and we're going to be out of the restaurant at 6:45. And if it takes any longer than that, somebody in the party is getting cranky because the food wasn't fast enough, right? Right. And we've kind of changed that, where we have some friends that like appreciate the slow dine experience. When we were in Chicago recently, we went out with a couple who we went out and had a slower paced dinner, right? But I think, you know, a lot of times we invite people over because then like they don't just come over and they're not just here from like 6 to 6:45. It's like we're gonna, you know, grill out, and so we can all just like grill together or whatever, you know, finish things up together.
Yeah, we're gonna like make dinner together, or like hang out in the kitchen while somebody's putting it together, or we're gonna like make cocktails of some kind and just like hang out and, you know, hang out for a long time, right? And I don't know when it became like a negative connotation to say that you were like more like a homebody, right?
Right.
That just implies that like if you're not going out, if you're like leaving your home to go perform entertainment or socialization, then there's like a negative connotation with that behavior. And it's just like, that shouldn't be the case, right?
Right.
Like it's fine to have people come over. It's fine to like not have to go out and like go to the bar if everybody else is going to the bar. And it's like fine to like go to somebody else's house and be at their homebody situation, right? And just like go play games and go make dinner and go hang out and go talk about like what's going on in your lives or whatever. Because, yeah, you could have those same conversations if you go out to a restaurant, but you're just going to pay like 5 times as much.
Right. And like maybe it's noisy and you can't hear as well. Like that, I sound so old.
That happens all the time, right? I personally find that to be a really frustrating situation.
I do too, yeah.
Because if I'm like shouting at the person all night and then like my voice is like hoarse after like 3 hours, then I'm just like, this is great.
As your voice gets hoarse just thinking about it.
As I'm choking.
Well, and that was something else I was going to mention. Like, even when I was in college, I really enjoyed going to house parties, like, much more than I enjoyed going out to the bars. Because it was like, if I went out to the club, I couldn't hear anything. Like, right. I'm not going to talk to anybody. I'm not socializing. I'm just, like, standing there in a loud room, like, having fun, with quotation marks. So, you know, I think, yeah, you're right. Like, it shouldn't be a negative connotation. And it's interesting as we've gone down this road of, like, meeting more people who are like-minded and enjoy coming over to our house or having us over to theirs. Those are the friendships that we notice are, like, easier to maintain because it's pretty effortless. It's like, oh yeah, you just, like, text them occasionally and they want to do the same things as you. And, it's hard for me if I had friends who, like, always wanted to be going out and doing stuff because I'm like, maybe it's because I am a homebody. I don't have the energy for that. Like, that sounds exhausting. Like, I just want to stay home and, like, cook food and have you come over and play games with me.
Because that's what we'd be doing anyway. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Might as well let other people in on the secret.
No, I will say sometimes, so we found this really awesome game store in Chicago where you can go there and play games for free.
Yeah, it was just like this crazy, like, board game shop that was massive. And, like, 50% of the store was just dedicated to, like, demo games that you could just go grab off of, like, the shelf, which was the shelf on all four walls of the room.
Like, thousands of games.
Floor to ceiling. Like, at least thousands. And, like, you could just go grab any of them and just sit down at, like, these picnic table style tables and just, like, play whatever you wanted for as long as you wanted.
Right.
Like, and what a cool place to just go, like, hang out or waste time at.
We even asked them, like, is it cool that we're just sitting here and playing games? Like, because I was like, I'll buy something. Like, do you sell coffee? Do you sell snacks? Like, and they were like, no, you can bring your own coffee and snacks if you want them. But this is, like, our whole concept is, like, come here and play. We want people to do this.
Yeah, they, like, laughed at me when I asked them and they were like, yeah, dude, this is, like, the whole concept of our store. And I was like, oh, this is sweet.
So I'm not saying that I guess my point there was we're not always homebodies. We do go out and we enjoy things. We do enjoy going to real farmers markets. Like, I'm very excited to get back to the good Midwestern farmers markets. But, and we find, like, other cool things to do. But typically we do it in a way where we're not, like, forced to fork over money for something that, like, doesn't need to cost money.
Right. And I mean, that's one of the big reasons that we like being in, like, the downtown Chicago area is there's, like, so many free opportunities, and it's not all just festivals that are in the street that are, like, $40 to get into. We can go watch the fireworks for free, like, every weekend, or, like, sitting on the water.
Right.
Or we can go do movies in the park that are all over the city. Right, so, like, you can go anywhere and do movies in the park because there's, like, 20 going on at a time or something.
And we actually live up by a couple cool, like, tavern type places that have a stage, and so, like, somebody will just go and play there for free, and, like, honestly they always set up, like, donation jars. And I mean, I've seen some pretty cool acts at some of these places, like people who have achieved some level of fame but just, like, go back to their, like, roots and, like, play. And honestly, I, like, if I see somebody good, like, there was this one rapper that we really liked in Chicago. He was, like, a Chicago local rapper. And, like, if I saw him playing for free somewhere, I would always donate to him because I value his talents. But, like, it's cool that the venue wasn't, like, charging. So it was just, like, anything I donated was going directly to the artist, which is really cool. Concerts are something that we have gone to historically. We go to, a couple concert here and there. We went to Lollapalooza when we lived in Chicago as well, which is obviously super expensive, but sometimes these things are fun to go to and to try and do. But I think the point there is, like, just kind of watch what you're doing. And if you're going to a concert, like, just do a price check. Like, I think, sometimes I go and I check and I'm like, oh, I would kind of like to see this person. So, Aloe Black is somebody that I've been trying to see again for years, right? And then he was, like, touring with, like, a bigger name person for a little bit. And I was just like, well, I don't care about them at all. So as much as I want to see him, it's not worth paying, like, $80 to see him for 15 minutes because he's an opening act. Right. And so it's hard sometimes to, like, make those decisions because I do think he's a great artist that I would love to see again. But I didn't care about seeing, whatever big name person he was with. So I was like, nah, I'll pass and wait until he's, like, not with world-class celebrity and, is a little bit more inexpensive, right? So it's all about weighing the costs and benefits. We're not saying always stay at home and do nothing. We obviously get out of the house here and there. We like to go and do things, but Also, don't think it's a negative to like take a Friday to stay in and like work on crafts or work on video game design or read a book. Like these are all really fun things too, and you don't always have to like go out and spend a lot of money.
Right, because you can do activities, because you should, if your whole life is social engagement with other people, then you're less interesting to talk about or to talk with other people, right? You have to do some things in your life that are developing like skills or things that are making you like interesting or that you're developing, right? Like if you're learning game design or you're learning a new language or right, or you're playing an instrument or whatever, then whatever you're doing, you can have those conversations with other people and be like, oh man, I like picked up these skills and like this is really cool, or I can show this off, or hey, I read this book and it was about these, like and then you read a similar book and we could talk about and compare and contrast those conversations, right? So then
or you can take it to the next level and read a book and then join a book club and read the same book as all these other people, and then you meet up just to talk about a book, which is really exciting for people like me who read books and then I just want to talk about it.
No. Book clubs are completely about like drinking wine and like eating food and not talking about the book.
No, some of them are, not the ones I join. I join very strategic book clubs.
So interesting.
But anyways, like, yeah, I think the cool thing when you fall down this hole of like learning something new is eventually you will take it to the next level. So like if you're learning a language, eventually you're going to be like, I want to practice my language with other people. And where we used to live, we were learning German, and every Tuesday people met at a coffee shop just to speak German. Mm-hmm. And so like we never got to that level where we felt comfortable going to something like that, but it's a pretty cool thing because then you're just meeting new people, you're learning new skills together, you're having socialization in different ways. And I think whenever you're doing cool stuff with other people, that's more rewarding socialization than just like, we're going to go, you know,
the same routine.
Stand at this concert tonight or whatever. I mean, you know, whatever it is, or pay to get into this nightclub, whatever. Is there anything else you wanted to mention, Brett?
No, I think we droned on this enough.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Money in the Bank. Make sure to subscribe to us on the iTunes or Stitcher app so that you get weekly alerts every time we post a podcast. Or if you want, you can visit my website, moneyinthebankpodcast.com. And if you want to reach out with any questions or further comments, please email me at Angie@moneyinthebankpodcast.com. I look forward to hearing from you.
Money in the bank.